63 Tombs in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Part 2. The Valley of the Kings. Memories carved in stone. Movement I. The Awakening of the Valley and Family Secrets. The Prologue and the Experiments. Introduction. This is not a city of the dead. Welcome to the great place of truth, Ta-Set Mayat. What you are stepping on right now is the dry limestone of the Theban West Bank. To tourists, this is a place to see mummies, but to us tombkeepers, it is a grand theater. Before we begin climbing into those magnificent caves, I ask you to forget the name Tutankhamun. Truly, forget him for a moment. Because this valley had been bustling for 300 years before that golden mask ever appeared. This place holds ambition, usurpations, a father's love for his daughter, and a grandson's resentment toward his grandmother. In these first 2 hours, we will see how this valley woke up. 1. Behind the scenes, KV63. The instrument room next to the operating room. Please look here. This is KV63, one of the most recent discoveries in the Valley of the Kings, brought back to light only in 2005. When it was found, the media went wild, thinking another royal tomb filled with treasure had been discovered. But when archaeologists opened it, there was no king and no golden coffin. What was inside? Only 7 wooden coffins and 28 large storage jars. Don't be disappointed. This is the most authentic story. Those jars were filled with natron, linen, broken pottery, and tools used for mummification. Scholars discovered these were embalming wastes from the era of Tutankhamun. You can imagine this place as the medical waste room next to a hospital operating theater. Before the king could lie gloriously in his coffin, the bloody work of dehydrating his body, applying spices, and removing organs produced stained cloths and excess salt. Because these materials had touched the sacred royal body, they could not be simply discarded and had to be buried with care. KV63 tells us that eternity is achieved through a tedious, even bloody, manufacturing process. This is the backstage of the Valley of the Kings. 2. The snake burrowing into the mountain. KV20. Obsession of father and daughter. Let us turn the clock back to around 1500 BC. The founders of the 18th dynasty decided to hide away rather than build conspicuous pyramids. Look at the deepest cliff wall, that is KV20, likely the earliest royal tomb in the valley. If you were to walk inside, you would find it unlike the straight corridors of later times. It winds like a startled snake, spiraling clockwise downwards. It was dug so deep that it even hit the groundwater level, showing that craftsmen were still experimenting with the single goal, deeper, ever deeper, to hide it from grave robbers. This tomb housed 2 people, Thutmose I and his daughter, the famous female pharaoh Hatshepsut. This was a burial of high political tension. To prove her legitimacy as a female ruler, Hatshepsut expanded her father's tomb or moved him there to emphasize that she would rest forever alongside him. This wasn't just filial piety. It was a political manifesto written in stone. 3. Family houses and tenants, KV39 and KV64. Before we leave the early sector, let's talk about the valley's housing philosophy. KV39 likely belongs to Amenhotep I. Its chaotic structure with multiple axes, suggests it was added onto and renovated over different periods, much like an old family home that grows over time. Then there is KV64, a small rock tomb showing the reality of reuse. Originally belonging to someone in the 18th dynasty, it was occupied centuries later, 22nd dynasty, by a priestess named Niamaz Bastet. To later generations, even using an old house in this sacred valley was an honor. Movement 2. The Golden Age and the Shadow of Heresy 4. The Warrior's Theology Classroom. KV34, Thutmose III. Now, look up to the high cliffs. That is KV34, belonging to Thutmose III. The Napoleon of ancient Egypt. Though a hardened warrior, his tomb looks like a professor's lecture hall. The burial chamber is oval-shaped, representing a cartouche, the rope loop enclosing a king's name, meaning he was protected by his name even in death. The walls are painted to resemble aged yellow papyrus, covered in black-lined figures we call stick figures. This is the oldest and most complete version of the Amdit, the book of what is in the netherworld. The warrior king chose to be a humble student in death, copying the secret passwords onto the walls to ensure safe passage through the night. It is a theological laboratory. 5. Moving grandpa to a new home. KV38, A Grandson's Revenge. After Hatshepsut died, her successor Thutmose III moved his grandfather Thutmose I out of the snake hole of KV20 and into the more modern KV38. By doing this, he declared, "I am the true heir of Thutmose I. Not that woman. The relocation of the dead is." By doing this, he declared, "I am the true heir of Thutmose I, not that woman." The relocation of the dead is Ing's name, meaning he was protected by his name even in death. The walls are painted to resemble aged yellow papyrus, covered in black-lined figures we call stick figures. This is the oldest and most complete version of the Amdit, the book of what is in the netherworld. The warrior king chose to be a humble student in death, copying the secret passwords onto the walls to ensure safe passage through the night. It is a theological laboratory. 5. Moving grandpa to a new home. KV38, A Grandson's Revenge. After Hatshepsut died, her successor Thutmose III moved his grandfather Thutmose I out of the snake hole of KV20 and into the more modern KV38. By doing this, he declared, "I am the true heir of Thutmose I, not that woman." The relocation of the dead is often a political performance by the living. 6. From Chaos to Standard. KV42 and KV43, the textbook era. By the mid-18th dynasty, tomb design reached a mature period. KV43, Thutmose IV, established the standard dog-leg structure. A slope leading to a well chamber, for flood theft protection, a turn, a pillared hall, and finally the burial chamber. The architecture and wall paintings became standardized SOPs. Order was established, heralding the coming Golden Age. 7. The Lonely Giant of the West Valley. WV22, Amenhotep III let us leave the main valley for the secluded West Valley. Here lies WV22. The tomb of Amenhotep III, the Sun King. During his reign, Egypt was incredibly wealthy. He chose to build in the secluded West Valley, creating the largest royal tomb in that area with grand six-pillared chambers. The walls proclaimed his divinity. Yet, in the late New Kingdom, priests moved his mummy to the collective ward of KV-35 to protect it, leaving this grand mansion empty, a testament to the cycle of prosperity and decline. 8. Tutankhamun's ancestors. KV-46, Yuya and Thuya back in the main valley. Look at KV-46, the tomb of Yuya and Thuya, parents of Queen Taya and in-laws of Amenhotep III. It was a great honor for non-royals to be buried here. Though the tomb was plain, it was found completely intact in 1905. It was filled with gold masks, chariots, and exquisite furniture. This served as a preview for Tutankhamun's discovery. Without it, archaeologists wouldn't have understood the function of many objects found later. 9. The smallest house, the loudest voice. KV-62, Tutankhamun KV-62 is a story of accidents. Because Tutankhamun died suddenly at a young age, he was buried in a small, cramped tomb originally intended for a non-royal. Yet, because it was so inconspicuous, it was covered by debris, hiding it from robbers for 3,000 years. When Howard Carter opened it in 1922, he found over 5,000 treasures squeezed into 4 tiny rooms. This is the ultimate case of the smallest house having the most furniture. Sometimes being forgotten is the best way to be preserved. Movement 3, Transition and the Rise of the Ramesside Era. 10. The man who cleaned up the mess. WV-23, after Tutankhamun, the elderly official I took the throne. His tomb, WV-23 in the West Valley, uses a straight axis design, a lingering influence of the heretical Amarna period. It contains a rare scene of the king hunting birds and fish in a marsh a motif usually reserved for nobles, hinting that deep down, I still saw himself as an official enjoying life. His name was later erased, turning him into a shadow. 11. The General's Iron Fist. KV-57, Hormheb. A former general, fully straightened the tomb axis, symbolizing that the path to the underworld was now a direct, open road. He introduced the Book of Gates, where the underworld is a series of checkpoints with guardians, a soldier's view of the afterlife. His tomb also transitioned to painted reliefs, giving figures a 3D effect. 12. The Pinnacle of Art. KV-17, Seti I KV-17 is widely considered the most beautiful tomb in the valley. It features exquisite colored reliefs where craftsmen carved muscle lines and fabric folds before painting. Every inch of the wall glows with life, making it the peak of the valley's art. 13. The Labyrinth of Princes. KV-5, the sons of Ramses II KV-5 was long thought to be insignificant until 1995, when it was revealed to be a massive underground labyrinth with over 100 rooms. It served as a collective dormitory for the many sons of Ramses II. A display of the dynasty's immense power through sheer scale. History can be rewritten. KV-14, Tuzre and Setnakht. In the chaotic late 19th dynasty, Setnakht usurped the tomb of the female pharaoh Tuzre, KV-14. He crudely plastered over her images and replaced her name with his own. This palimpsest tomb shows that history can be rewritten in the face of power. 15. The twilight of the empire. As the 20th dynasty waned, tombs became larger but the state became empty. Sacred seals were broken, and pharaohs were no longer safe. 16. The Great Rescue. KV-35, the long-term care center. In the late New Kingdom, priests realized they couldn't save the gold, but they could save the ancestral bodies. In a secret nighttime operation, they moved mummies into safe houses. KV-35, originally the tomb of Amenhotep II, became a royal mummy cache. When discovered in 1898, it contained the mummies of Amenhotep II, Thutmose IV, Amenhotep III, and various Ramesside kings, all huddled together like patients in a collective ward. The priests even attached labels, dockets, to the mummies, much like hospital ID bracelets, to maintain dignity in a time of chaos. KV-35 became the backup hard drive of New Kingdom history. Epilogue. The City of Memory. Our journey ends here. These 63 numbers are not just cold statistics, they represent the asterisk birth, life, and death of a civilization. They tell us that while pyramids may collapse and gold may be stolen, as long as someone remembers these stories, this valley is not a city of the dead. It is a grand library waiting for travelers like you to read the memories carved in stone. I am your storyteller. Thank you for walking through these 3,000 years with me.